locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Welcome to the Must Listen Show and all of podcasts. Duke Loves Rasslin.
Ugh. You know, when you put a spin on The Miz, it's tough.
Listen, I'm impressed that you recognize that, Boston Bad Boy.
Listen, I know a great many things that I don't let you in on. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Because my knowledge would be wasted on you. That's what it is.
Unbelievable.
I'm worldly.
Yeah, you're something all right. And I don't want to... Folks know that I try to stay away from too many curse words there, so I won't tell you how I really feel.
Don't worry, I'm recording them all off air.
Yeah, right. Welcome back to Duke Loves Rasslin. I am the Duke, and yes, I do enjoy doing pro wrestling impersonations. I'm going to keep on doing them no matter what my illustrious co-host, the Boston Bad Boy, Iron Mike Pelosi, says.
I thought you would have gotten them all out of your system when I was away last week, but apparently not.
I have a steady stream of them, brother. Steady stream.
I can see just a little Duke growing up, looking in the mirror with his slacks on and doing his little impressions of wrestlers, and still doing it now that you're an adult. It's amazing to me.
That's right.
It's amazing. See? It's amazing you don't have more friends with doing that.
Listen, speaking of friends, I have none other than Brother Roy Lucier. He's going to join us later and talk about the Cauliflower Alley Club. And yes, that just took place, folks, and he has some stories for us. Can't wait. We also have Bring Your A Game. What does that mean? Huh? We're going to find out because Star Michele Dee is going to join us. She's from the Ken Reedy Show. She's going to talk about her pro wrestling career, podcasting, and everything else under the sun. We'll also be covering the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling, a.k.a. Run the Ropes. All that plus more of your listener-submitted questions, a.k.a. Ask Duke. But before we get to any of that, Boston Bad Boy, you slacker extraordinaire, I want to know right now, since you had the audacity to leave us last week, and I had to call you and interrupt your vacation.
Yeah, that was wonderful, by the way. I can't thank you enough.
I know you enjoyed it. But tell us, how was your tour of England?
As you can tell by the music I brought home with me, it was fun. It was great. I love London. It's a great city. I've got friends there. I've been there several times now. I know the city quite well. It's quite proper. And they could do a little bit with an upgrade to the weather, though, I'll tell you that.
Oh, boy.
Thankfully, the food has gotten better. It's passable now.
I saw you had some Indian food.
Indian food was unbelievable because, they used to rule India before they got their asses kicked out of there. But luckily, they were able to get some good recipes, and the Indian restaurants are great. There's a place, the best, in case anyone's going to London. I love this music.
Unbelievable.
Brick Lane is a section of London near Whitechapel where the Ripper used to hang out.
Oh, yes.
And Brick Lane is where all these great Indian and Pakistani restaurants are. And the proprietors are actually out on the street as you're walking down, and they're haggling with you. So they're like, come into the restaurant, we'll give you 20% off and a bottle of wine. And you go, well, all right, 2 bottles. And so you try and get the best deal going down.
Wow.
They're all delicious. But try and get the best deal. So that's a pro tip there from the Boston Bad Boy.
All right. I like that
pro
one.
travel tip.
So let me ask you a question because I don't find it a coincidence that as soon as you invade England...
It's the reverse British invasion.
Prince Philip announces that he's taking a lighter schedule.
We went out for a long weekend, Philip and I, and he's, as my friend says, he's England's favorite accidental racist. He's just
what?
He's just because he just says crazy stuff all the time.
Unbelievable.
And I don't think he means it, but he's in a bubble, the guy. But he's got a sense of humor, I think. And, but yeah, we had a great weekend, Prince Philip and I think I wore him out, the old boy. He's not quite, he's getting up there. So you know what? Let him take the time off.
Well, I called ahead because I knew you were going to be there, and I made sure that one of the places that you ran into was Duke Street.
I can't tell you how many Duke Streets I did. Every time I turned a corner, it was like an assault on my senses that I kept seeing your name pop up, and it wasn't funny at all.
I called my friends.
Again, friends. It wasn't funny.
Karen?
It was
Karen Himes?
unsettling.
Called her up, told her, make sure she sets it up for me, and she sure did. Thanks, Mom. That's right.
Oh, boy.
That's
You got to
right.
work on that. How about work on that accent a little bit?
Whatever, wise guy. Listen, run the ropes.
Run the ropes. I couldn't get it fast enough. Hang on. I was on the wrong. I'm trying to switch between. Okay, here we go.
It's time to run the ropes. I give my opinion on the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling. Let's go. AJ Styles sets Raw straight. Yes, folks, if you tuned into the latest edition of Talking Smack on the WWE Network, you witnessed the phenomenal AJ Styles. He shared his opinion on Raw invading SmackDown talent. And let me tell you something. He's right.
SmackDown makes them, Raw takes them.
That's right.
We make superstars over here. That is what we do.
Okay.
You try to clean us out, we're going to build somebody up, we're going to put them on the spot, and guess what? If you want a superstar, this is where it's made.
See that?
I just don't know why he's wearing hockey gloves. I don't understand.
Well, because he's AJ Styles. When they announce his name and he's standing there, he does this thing and it says AJ.
He needed gloves for that.
Those gloves sell like hotcakes, just so you know.
Well,
like
it's nice to have a
hotcakes.
gimmick.
Okay.
Maybe you need like a Duke's walking stick or something. And
I
then,
should
and
get
then
that.
then that would be the thing you sell.
Yeah.
Like a shillelagh.
See? A
Just, I'm
shillelagh.
always thinking.
I'm telling you. This guy. Oh, boy. World of Sport. Are they having a setback? Oh, yes, UK wrestling fans. According to... Now, look. I talked to some of my friends over in the UK. I had to make sure I got this right, how to pronounce this, okay? It's Lancashire, okay?
Like Lancashire Hot Pot?
Lancashire, yes, Lancashire Post. That's the name of their publication here. I guess they're big time, so shout out to my friends over at the Lancashire Post. You're getting a shout out from the Duke. But according to them, World of Sport is on an indefinite postponement, okay? Now, they caught up with the rep of World of Sport, and I quote, "The World of Sport Wrestling live show dates in May are being rescheduled as a result of ongoing contract negotiations between the co-producers Impact Sport and ITV." I mean, give me a break, folks. Can you believe this? I mean, you know, Impact goes from being TNA to officially Impact, okay? And that just happened not too long ago. Now here they are. They're in the middle of another mess with World of Sport. We can't have this, okay? My friends over there in the UK, and you know who you are, the Wrestling Babble crew and the whole crew there, shout out to Big Sam and everybody, they need their World of Sport, the premier wrestling program in all of the United Kingdom. And we can't have these problems here because, most importantly, we need more places for the wrestlers to be able to wrestle. Impact, ITV, I don't care what you have to do. Make this deal happen. Stop playing games.
You know, through your whole tirade there, all I could think of was Yorkshire pudding. Have you ever had a Yorkshire pudding?
I have.
It's like a popover thing.
Yeah,
oh,
it's pretty good.
Man,
Huh?
there's nothing better than that.
And Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, and you know, I had to have some traditional British food, even though it can be, you know, little, but a steak and ale pie. It's dense, I'll tell you. You want to start your day with that, not end it.
Yes.
But it was quite tasty at one of the local pubs that we went to.
Oh, look at that.
But all this British stuff's making me hungry.
Irvin Legend attacked. Folks, this is a sad state of affairs on the indie wrestling scene, okay? Our friend, Irvin Legend.
Again with the friend.
That's right. He was a guest on the show a few weeks back. Mm-hmm. He was viciously attacked by another former guest on this show. I'm talking about the man named Juggernaut, okay? Now, they had a match at Vanguard Championship Wrestling. And Legend, you know, this is a man that follows the rules. Thought he was going to have a decent gentleman's match. But lo and behold, that no-good Juggernaut, he had other plans. Okay? See, he was paid off by that no-good Rudy Gonzalez.
Oh, here we go.
A.K.A. El Presidente
conspiracy
of
theories.
Texas Wrestling Entertainment. No, I'm serious about this.
I thought I was the one with the conspiracy theories.
Well, here's the problem. Gonzalez actually admitted. He admitted online that he paid off the Juggernaut. Okay? To deliver the beatdown
Boy.
to Irvin Legend.
I got to say, Legend got his clock clean on that one.
It was vicious.
I was watching
It was
that.
ridiculous.
You know what? It was, boy, that was a tough one to watch.
These were unsanctioned moves that he performed on Irvin Legend.
Listen, I have to say, and far be it from me to take someone's side against you, but I have to agree with Rudy on this. He might have been a little premature in calling himself Legend.
No.
I'm just saying.
So you send a hitman for hire to go
Listen,
bust
this
him up
is,
like
this is
that?
not a hitman. This has been an
Give me a
ongoing
break.
feud. They've been building this feud for a while.
Yeah, but
guess what happened?
And that never happened. What happened this time? That never happened before.
Well,
Okay,
it happened now.
He slammed the man's head against the post. He kicked him in the face. He dropped him on his head, and then when the match was over, when the ref said that's enough, he proceeded to beat him even more.
Maybe he just doesn't know his own strength.
Well,
I mean, these guys are doing works. They're not 20-year professionals. These guys.
He took the easy way out, and you know something.
Boy, listen, if I had those kind of muscles, I'd take that easy way out too.
It's nefarious and it's no good. And I'm going to tell you right now, poor Irvin Legend. He had to be rushed to the emergency room. Okay,
that's no lie.
You're talking about a concussion, whiplash, broken nose, all because of this guy. So he's out of action right now. But I'm telling you right now, Rudy Gonzalez, El Presidente, Juggernaut, your days are numbered. Because when Irvin Legend comes back, and he's coming back, he is going to run wild on the both of you, Jack.
I have a feeling that this is partially your fault, Duke, for opening your big mouth and calling what Rudy does practice instead of training. And he said, you know what, I'm going to show Legend and Duke what it is when you train, how quickly and efficiently you can put somebody in the hospital.
Remember that coach? Remember what that coach said? I forgot, what's his name? He has a funny name there, but he said, come after me. I'm a man. Okay? I'm a man.
You're a man.
That's right.
You wouldn't stand 30 seconds in the ring with either of the two of them. Or Rudy.
Fact.
Rudy on his worst day.
Sue.
Rudy when he is 75 years old.
Fact. Rudy is bigger than me, he's stronger than me, and he's dangerous because he's paying off these hitmen for hire.
Conspiracy.
Okay?
Let's move on here.
Yeah. Braun Strowman destroys Roman Reigns again. Ha ha! Yes, folks, as seen at WWE Payback and on the Duke Loves Rasslin Facebook page, Braun Strowman left that no-good Roman Reigns beaten and bloody after cleanly pinning him during the match this past Sunday. Okay? Now, fans have been sending in threatening notes and started petitions to not only have Braun Strowman fired from the WWE, but they actually want him arrested. I'm telling all of you ham and eggers out there something right now. You better leave Braun Strowman alone, okay? He did what the Duke wanted him to do because I told Roman Reigns I tried to give him a chance. Roman, smarten up, okay? And just remember one thing. When you're sitting there wondering why, I did this to you.
There's going to be a payback for you one day with this whole Roman Reigns thing, and I really, really hope I'm there to see it.
Listen,
I really hope.
I don't like the way you're going with this.
I really hope that one day you're in an airport or something, and you get on some tirade, and you turn around, and there's Roman Reigns sitting behind you.
Did I tell you this happened to me once before?
He just puts you in a headlock until you pass out.
This happened to me once before in life. Okay,
I'm not surprised.
I was at Daisy Buchanan's.
Oh boy! Well, there's your first.
God
problem.
rest his soul. It's not around anymore. But I was at Daisy's, and I was with a buddy of mine, and they were like, "Hey, Bronson Arroyo is here. You know, the Major League Baseball pitcher."
Sure.
And I said, "Man, forget Bronson Arroyo." And then I get a tap on my shoulder. I'm like,
and he's standing right behind
And then I get
you.
another tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, Bronson Arroyo.
Wow.
Right there.
You're lucky.
He's a big dude. A big, tall dude.
Yeah, and even bigger when you realize you have to shrink down because your manhood has shriveled and gone up into your body cavity because you realized who was standing behind you.
I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and we both laughed. Okay?
You got out easy. I don't think Roman Reigns is going to let you off the hook like
Probably
that.
not. And the number one story in the world of professional wrestling is...
Yeah.
And I can't believe this, by the way.
Yeah.
Folks, stop the presses. The National Wrestling Alliance has been purchased. That's right. According to Pro Wrestling Sheet, the NWA has come to a purchasing agreement with none other than the leader of the rock group Smashing Pumpkins. I'm talking about Mr. Billy Corgan.
I still don't get any of this. I don't
Is
get.
it-
I don't get it.
this guy
I don't
won't go
understand
away.
it. Yeah, he's
He
like a
won't
bad
go
penny,
away.
and I just don't get him. I don't get the involvement. I don't get his interest. I don't get their interest in him. I don't get why he's famous to begin with.
Listen, he had a heck of a time with the fallout of TNA wrestling. I mean, it
sure.
went to litigation and all that stuff. Corgan ended up getting his equity back and what have you, but I guess he wanted to remain in the pro wrestling business.
Clearly,
So he purchased the NWA. Okay?
Outright?
Outright. He gets the belt, he gets the naming rights, he gets all of that stuff. If you want to call yourself an NWA territory, you're under his umbrella.
you think
now,
that's a good
pal.
investment? If a guy like him who has money, obviously,
Yep.
from a musical career,
Yep.
probably has a decent chunk of change. Made money when money was still good in the '90s, in music. Obviously, a fan clearly, because you don't get into that. You don't
course.
buy in unless you have some interest in it.
Of course.
So, do you think it's a good investment for him? If that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to put this money into this, it's going to be an investment, it's going to grow, and then I'm going to make money off of it. What do you think?
I think that there needs to be a viable number two.
And you think that's?
And I think
Do you
that-
think it's there though? Do you think that that's the viable number two?
Territories that still refer to themselves as an NWA territory, promotions who are affiliated, right? You could easily take all the talent that is in those territories and put one major show on.
Well, listen, I agree
would
with
work.
you. I agree with you that you need the competition.
Sure.
To keep Vince and his minions and his bankrupt ideas,
All right. Be careful.
In line.
Be careful.
And maybe Corgan is the guy who's been in show business that can bring some of that to the smaller or lower tier organization, the second tier. I just don't know if it could go bust because again, WWE could be sucking the vacuum of all the money so much there might not be enough to really edge in on.
And that's the problem. And we're going to have to wait and see. But I do know one thing. There's enough talent out there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
WWE can't have them all.
If he can do, if NWA can do what the WWE is not doing, which is farming good talent, not trying to jam talent where talent doesn't belong, he might have a shot.
Sure.
He could bring it down to the. He could be like the Bernie Sanders of wrestling, like the grassroots. We're going to do things differently. We're going to give you the show you want, the show you deserve. He might be able to do that.
And you know what? He needs to tap into guys that are available. I mean, you got a guy like James Beard.
Sure.
Who's been involved in the NWA.
Well, right. They need he needs to surround himself at that
with
level, at
people
the
who
upper
know what
level,
they're doing in the wrestling business.
with the workers.
Yep.
And not the yes men.
I hear
because
that-
that's the problem with WWE.
Sure.
Vince is surrounded by yes men.
Sure.
Even
sure.
Triple H
Just
is a
keep
yes man.
trashing WWE. This is about
Even-
the NWA. You're talking about the WWE.
But I'm
Just
saying
keep it up.
we're talking about competition. We're talking about the business.
Okay.
So shut up and let me finish.
Yeah, here you go with this nonsense. Listen, shout out to Leilani Kai, by the way, because she just became part owner of the Florida portion of the NWA.
Oh, great.
Which, that's huge.
Sure.
So this is what we're talking about.
Well, if they're going to build a real network, build it up.
And she has bookprowrestlers.com, which she has the segue into all the wrestlers.
Right. And if they become a real a viable alternative to
See what I mean?
the company that shall not be named, they might be good.
That's right. You've heard what I think. What do you think? Do you agree with me? You think I'm a jerk?
Yes.
Maybe something in between? Shout out. Head over to Facebook. Head over to Twitter. Type in Duke Loves Rasslin. Let me know. Up next, our exclusive interview with All-Star Michele Dee.
What's up, guys? This is Babam from the You Should Play This podcast, and you are listening to Duke Loves Rasslin, but you're not listening to him play any good video games. Pro wrestling, give me a break.
Folks, as you know, all the episodes of Duke Loves Rasslin are archived on YouTube, okay? Literally from episode 1 all the way to the current episode, you can check them all out. Now listen, 2 weeks ago, we celebrated our 1-year podcast anniversary, okay? And Boston Bad Boy, this knucklehead here, he opened up our special hotline, the voicemail box, and some of you left some great messages, but others, not so great, okay? And in fact, one of those messages were really fresh. I mean, jeez, and you know what? I'm going to get to the bottom of this right now, okay? And one of those messages is from a wrestler who, no doubt, she can beat me up, but I'm still going to mouth off to her because guess what? She's nowhere near me, so she can't put me in a headlock like I know she would do if she was here. So without further ado, say hello to All-Star Michele Dee. How are you, Michele?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to play games with you. We're going to get right into this, okay? Because you and I got some heat with each other, all right? You left me a message telling me, the Duke, to bring my A game, okay? And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, you had the audacity to post photos of yourself wearing a T-shirt that said "Bring your A game," like you're taunting me or something. So first of all, who do you think you are?
Well, Duke, I am Star Michele Dee, so I think that kind of speaks for itself. However, I will tell you that I did wish you a happy anniversary. I think you've done a lot of great in this past year.
That's right.
But listen, it's only been a year, so we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. You've got a lot of work ahead of you. Of course, you know that because that's how you succeed in life, is working hard. It was. I think you may have taken it the wrong way. Maybe you took it a little too personally. I think I was just trying to maybe inspire you to be better. Everybody can be better. Is that right?
No. All right. Let's look. You've inspired me to give you a look. Okay. And first of all, what does "Bring your A game" even mean? And why did you put it on a shirt?
Okay, well, I fully believe that in anything you do in life, you need to be prepared and you need to put your best foot forward, say. So bring your A game. I'm sure you've heard it before. I didn't create it, but the way I look at it is not always about winning, but it's about putting your best foot forward, knowing you left it all out there and you did the best that you possibly could, and doing it with integrity. Knowing that you didn't betray yourself and what you're all about to maybe get ahead somewhere, or really just, when you go out there and you play any sport or do anything in life, if you're going for that job that you want, you don't want to leave thinking, oh, I should have done this, or I could have been better, I could have done that. You want to bring your A game every time.
Okay,
so that's where it really came from.
So what you're saying is you plagiarized from somebody else and you put a shirt together there, and now you're trying to take full credit. I understand.
Hey, I never said I was taking full credit.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the author of that line is, but it's definitely been around in sports for a while.
Well, if there are any people with bad attitudes like yours that want to get a "Bring your A game" shirt, where can they find one of those?
Well, it's funny that you say a bad attitude. You could construe that and say, "Bring your attitude game." Bring your attitude.
Here we go. Here we
go.
go.
There you go. Now I'm capitalizing on this, and that'll be a whole marketing campaign. If you would like one of the T-shirts, I do have them available currently. Just I would say message me on Twitter. My Twitter is @Michelle3D, and I do have shirts available for male sizes, female sizes. We have the nice girly T-shirts, which I tend to like, so they're available out there.
Can you spell that Twitter handle for us, please?
Sure, it's Michelle3D. Michelle with one L. MICHELE 3D.
See? You see that, folks? You can't trust a person who doesn't know how to spell their own name properly there. Michelle with one L. Whoever heard it? What is he? What are you, French? What's going on here? Okay. All right.
You know what? My entire childhood was ruined because I had one L in my name.
That's right.
Anywhere you go, there was nothing spelled properly.
You got that right.
I had to run around as a kid with things for gifts from people that had my name spelled wrong.
Well, I'm starting to see a trend here where you're just on the wrong side of the block each time. You sit there and you badmouth me. Now you got one L in your name. I'm telling you, you're just going down the wrong road. But let's back up.
It's the one L. Maybe it's the one L.
It's the one L. You can't trust the one L. Let's back up for a second, though, because you're a pro wrestler. Okay, and I know that I keep mouthing off, but I got to watch my mouth because you do have some big muscles there. Where did you get started in the business, and who trained you?
Okay, so, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but we'll start with the fact that I've always been into sports, softball, kung fu. I've taken kung fu for a few years, too. And I did some competitive powerlifting. And just all through my life, I've always been sort of a tomboy. And so a little bit later in life, I got interested in wrestling. I was not a big fan as a kid, but I have definitely been schooled on a lot of the old stuff. I've gone back and watched a lot of that with the one and only Ken Reedy. So he's done right by me and showed me a lot of the old time stuff. But there are a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I kept watching wrestling, and some of the female talent was not the best, and I kept saying, like, I should do that. You know, I want to do that. I could probably do that better than so-and-so. And I'm not trashing all of female wrestlers.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
There was a trend at some time, you know, with, say, like the Kelly Kellys of the world. No offense to her. She's gorgeous. But, you know, she was more of like a Barbie doll type. And I would say, I'm not a Barbie doll. So, you know, I kind of kept saying that. And then a few years ago, a little over 2 years ago, for my birthday, the one and only Ken Reedy got me some lessons to try out the IWF in Nutley, New Jersey. And so I did that as sort of a kind of like a bucket list thing. Hey, let me just go and take a few classes and it'll be fun. And I could say that I did certain things. And after a month of it, I was hooked. And it was really the coolest thing ever to be in the ring and facing fears, because I'm not exactly the type of person that's going to jump off you know, I don't know, even the high diving board, say, in a pool. So doing some things in the ring, and, you know, it was very basic at the beginning, but I was facing my fears because you're getting in there and they're telling you, okay, well, you're going to learn this and you're going to do this. And I can't say, oh, no, I'm scared and not do it. So I just, like, forced myself to do it. So that became, like, the addiction there. And I'm sure a lot of wrestlers might say the same thing. You get kind of addicted to it, and there's a bit of a thrill, and it's like then you feel you're successful and you learn things, and it just all kind of came together. And
so
yeah,
who trained you? I know that Ken took care of the lessons, but who specifically do you credit for training you?
Kevin Knight at IWS.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Kevin Knight. Good man. We follow each other on Twitter. He's a good man there. Yeah. Shout out, Kevin. Wow.
Right. So you're no stranger to the IWS.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, that's pretty cool there. So what other promotions have you wrestled for?
Actually, I've had a little bit of training from Gino Caruso and ECPW. Yep. And I've done some shows for him. Wrestling on Fire. And BBWF currently is where I'm working. We've done a weekly show called Primetime. Right now it's on a little bit of a hiatus, but we do have shows coming up, one being on May 21st.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
I'm
folks,
sure I'll be talking about that on Twitter. So if you follow, you'll see all that.
Yeah, and folks, we'll put it up on the Duke Loves Rasslin Twitter and Facebook pages. All the information. The next time you could see All-Star Michele Dee in the ring, because look, you know, I do my research and I know what's going on in the pro wrestling world, everywhere from New Jersey going all the way down to Singapore. I know what's going on here. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've been on a little bit of a hiatus lately. So I gotta get the scoop here, because, you know, this is an exclusive interview. All-Star Michele Dee, tell your fans right now what's been going on. How come they haven't seen you in the ring lately?
Well, actually, you know, you say that, and I guess it is kind of an exclusive because I haven't really said it out loud in public, I guess. I mean, part of the thing is with BBWF right now, the primetime show is on hiatus. But I haven't really wrestled in a few months, and I guess, you know, this is just I'm a very honest person, so I will never, you know, feed you lines of BS. I guess I got a little burnt out. As much as I love it, physically and mentally, it's a very, very demanding sport and entertainment, if you want to call it that. Where, you know, I've trained really hard for 2 years, and I know there's veterans that would say, "Oh, that's a drop in the bucket," and it is, but you know, starting this a little later in life, I have a lot of other things going on in my life too. Full-time career that's more than full-time, demanding. I'm in a few bands. I've played softball. I haven't played much since I've been wrestling, and it just kind of had become a lot. And like I said, mentally and physically, because you know you're in pain a lot, and I just kind of had to prioritize a little bit. And I felt like I needed to take a bit of a break, and I didn't feel like I felt like if I wasn't training and putting in that time, I couldn't go out and do shows and feel like I was prepared. So it was more of, you know, take a break, take a step back for a little bit, kind of heal a little bit all around, and then when I'm ready to get back in the ring and put in that 100% and bring that A game, then I get back in and do some more shows.
That's pretty deep, and you know something. We've had a lot of wrestlers from all different levels. Everyone from Sugar and Spice, who at the time that we interviewed them a year ago, they hadn't even wrestled their first match, going all the way up to Susan Tex Green, who she's been in the business over 50 years, and she's still taking bumps to this day. That fork in the road, that moment where it's almost like a moment of truth, where you literally have to put the business down for a moment and really look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this thing for me? Is this really something that I want to do? Can I the physical sacrifice, the mental and emotional sacrifices is really something that I want to put myself through. It's happened to every wrestler we've ever spoken to. So there's no surprise to hear you say that you had hit that point. Let me ask you, since we're on this topic, in your opinion, what's the biggest obstacle or the biggest challenge that women face in the business? Because this is a male-dominated sport.
Yes, that's it's. I guess it's the lack of respect that can be present. I'm not saying it's everywhere. I'm not saying every show or company you go to, it's going to be like that. But the idea, knowing going in that you are second class, maybe that's a little harsh, but it's all, when you even go to a show, there's maybe one women's match, and it's all, and unless it's a female wrestling company, but in all the shows I've been to, we're featured like, we're just a feature, we're a gimmick, so to speak, and knowing that going in makes you feel like no matter what you do, you're still not going to be first place. You're still not going to be the headliner. And I know that's changing a little bit in the WWE, and things are great. Some of those women are amazing, like Charlotte, and I think they're gaining respect. But I still feel like it's going to be a very long time until they're considered, the headliners. And it's just a part of life, I guess. I've been in a lot of male-dominated industries and sports. Everything I've done, powerlifting, and then in my job, I'm in programming, computer programming. So that has always been a male-dominated field as well. So I'm kind of used to it, I guess. But in a way, it's also motivating that I can be successful in these type areas, and against the odds, so to speak. But it's a little frustrating knowing that no matter how hard you work, you're still going to be kind of not the headliner, and I guess that's the best way I can phrase it.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because listening to you talk, you reminded me of hearing things that the legend Medusa Michele, a.k.a. Alundra Blaze, would talk about. I mean, here's a woman who, when she was at the height of her career, which is really, the late 80s, early 90s, like you said, the women were treated as a feature as opposed to being an important part of the overall card. And to the point where they wouldn't even say who the women were that were going to wrestle. They would just say women's match. Now, it's funny, though, because in addition to being in pro wrestling, she went on to Monster Truck and became a legend in the Monster Truck world, which is just crazy. You are a pro wrestler, and you also are a computer programmer, which is not something that you hear from most women. So what made you decide to get into that stuff, too?
Well, it's funny, actually. It's interesting you're asking this, because usually, I talk to people and they ask just about the wrestling and the sports. But I was an English major in college, and I was going to be a teacher, and I used to write poetry, and I really liked English and taking the English courses and all, because it was kind of easy, because you read a poem and you just make something up about it, and it was a pretty cool way to get through college. But I did take a few computer courses. But when I graduated, I decided I didn't want to be a teacher, and I was in market research, which is what I'm currently in, and someone just started showing me how to program, and I just kind of picked it up quickly, and I realized I had an aptitude for it, and I just developed into that hands-on training over the years. So I don't have a degree in programming, but I've had many years of experience in the field, and it's kind of cool that I do that, because I love to do that, and I feel like it's a very right or wrong thing. If you're an artist, or if you're a writer or a photographer or something in that vein, people are going to judge your work. But if you're a computer programmer, you're either right or you're wrong. And if you are wrong, you figure out why you're wrong. So it's black and white. So I kind of like that as far as a career goes. But then in the wrestling world, you get judged, based on your performance and all that. So it's definitely a different side of the coin doing programming.
Yeah, it sure is. Folks, we're talking to All-Star Michele Dee here. Now, I guess you take your computer programming and wrestling skills and you've put it to use on a podcast, the Ken Reedy Show. So what specifically do you do for the show, and tell us about the show?
Sure. The Ken Reedy Show is another wrestling podcast, and I actually do a live show Sunday nights, pay-per-view nights. It's 6 to 8, WWE pay-per-view nights, 6 to 8, and alternate Sundays, it's 6:30 to 8. What I do is I'm the producer, but I do a lot of the PR as well and some of the technical things. I help out whenever needed, I guess. Sometimes I've co-hosted. I've brought breaking news to their attention when they're live, that sort of thing. But Ken really runs the show. Ken has been doing it's probably close to 10 years now, and his co-host, Dave Rosenbluth, they've been together for a while. And it's really like a little family we have. We have our guest host, Ronaldo Santiago, who is also a wrestler, as Ken is as well. Once I was in the business for about a year wrestling, he just couldn't take it and had to join too. So we do that together, and it's been great because when I first started, I kind of liked doing it without him because it was something that was my own, and I got to just not feel, because we do a lot of things together, and that's great. But I felt like it was my own, and then when he joined, at first I was like, well, this is kind of my thing. But once he was there, it really helped me, and we were kind of a team, and we did a little tag teaming, which was cool. We were a tag team together. But it was nice to have him around, just feeling like I didn't want to be judged by him being around because I didn't want it to be, there's Ken the wrestler and his girlfriend Michelle, But it kind of happened in reverse, and I was the wrestler, and that was my boyfriend. But then it kind of all evened out at some point. And it was really cool having him around. Wait a
second. Breaking news, folks. Ken Reedy and Michele 3D here, All-Star. They're together. Are you kidding me? I never knew this.
You did not know that?
No.
He's the boyfriend.
Now it's starting to make sense. The way you were mouthing off to me there, that's really Ken Reedy trying to take a shot at the Duke in this show. Oh, Kenny boy, I'm on to you, pal. Okay? You don't send your big, tough girlfriend to go fight your battles there, big man. Okay, I'm going to tell you that. Who is Ken Reedy? Can you give us a quick rundown of who this guy is and why he matters?
Who is Ken Reedy? Geez, that's a tough question. You might have to have Ken Reedy on your show and let him answer that.
Ken Reedy, I challenge you to come on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast anytime. You come on this show and you let the fans know who you are, because I'm telling you right now, I don't appreciate you sending an all-star to fight your battles for you, pal. I'm just saying, Kenny. And you're bigger than me. You could beat me up too, but hey, I'm just saying. Okay, that's right. Now look, since we're back to being friends again, I feel like you and I don't have much heat anymore. Because, this has been a great conversation that we've had. I think you can help me out with something. Okay?
Okay.
I mean, you're a strong lady. You've done the powerlifting. You got some muscles. You did kung fu. I mean, yes, this is awesome. Okay? I got a little problem. There's a person by the name of Micah Madrid. Okay, she's the Texas Women's Champion over in Texas Wrestling Entertainment. And I'm telling you right now, she has threatened me. She has talked bad about me. And overall, she has just been going around and putting me in a bad spot. Okay, so I need All-Star Michele Dee with one L to let the entire world know that the next time you see Micah Madrid, you're going to straighten her out for the Duke. Tell everybody right now. Come on. Tell them.
Okay. Yes, we're buddies again. That's cool. But, you just said you didn't want me to be fighting battles for Ken, but now you want me to be fighting battles for you?
Well, it's different. This is different.
Yeah.
This is different.
No, I hear what you're saying, but, I don't know the whole beef going on there. So I'm going to say that I think you need to handle that. Well, yourself, unless there's a championship on the line. I'm not going to say no to a championship match, right?
Well, I need you to bring me the championship. This isn't about you. This is about me. This is my feud here. You just help me out. You're a hired gun, right? So are you going to take care of her for me or not?
No. I think we need to settle our beef in the ring then. How's that for you?
Who's we?
You and me.
Okay, look, All-Star Michele Dee, I did not bring you on Duke Loves Rasslin to threaten me. Okay, I just when I thought we were moving in the right direction, now you're starting to make me feel like I have to get my lawyer. Okay, and you can ask around the business. Okay, I've got my lawyer and a lot of other people. You could be next. See that? That's how you straighten that out.
I'll plead the fifth then.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, listen, if folks want to get in touch with you, okay, especially the bookers, how can bookers get in touch with All-Star Michele Dee?
It's probably the easiest is through Twitter, which would be the Michele 3D, and Instagram. Also, I have the same Michele 3D. Those are sort of the public forums. You can always message me. And, once I get back in the ring training, I'll be taking bookings, definitely. Like I said, I want to be on my A game when I'm back in the ring, which might be sooner than you think.
Yeah.
Because BBWF, we have, like I said, some stuff coming up, and you may be aware that Robbie E. is involved in BBWF.
I saw that. Yep.
And, I should give him some credit, too. We've had some seminars and some training with him. And he's great. Anytime we have a primetime taping, we have some time to go over things earlier in the night, and you ask him anything, and he'll help you. He's shown me how to do a lot of things a lot of newer things, a little more advanced things than I had learned previously. And he's a great guy, and he knows a lot.
Let me tell you something. Robbie E. is a complete gentleman. He's handsome. He knows what he's doing in the ring, and the guy has a great tan as well. All right, Robbie, you make sure my check's in the mail because I just put you over big time there, pal. Now, what about if fans want to get in touch with you? How can fans get in touch with you?
That same thing, the Twitter and the Instagram. Yeah, you can follow me there. I usually follow back. I'm good about that because I don't think it's fair that people are following you. I kind of think, who am I? People don't need to follow me. So if they do, I consider them, like a Twitter friend, and I'll follow back.
Sure.
Unless they're creepy. If somebody's creepy, forget about it.
Well, I noticed that you got some kind of follower going on by the name of Dingo, who is no stranger to this show. In fact, he's had a mouthful to say about the Boston Bad Boy, as you know.
I'm just going to cut to the chase. Creep.
Well,
just
hey,
if he's following you, it's a creep
now.
thing.
Stop
So
that right.
I
He's
think
a
you should
nice
just
guy.
take it from there.
He's a nice guy, Boston Bad Boy. Don't do that.
He's a creep.
Don't talk about our fans like that. But Michele, tell the world how Dingo has called out the Boston Bad Boy on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I even asked you about it. I was, whoa, what is this?
See that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ravings of a madman.
All right, that's enough.
Everyone would wonder what that's about.
That's enough out of you. Now listen, you have a special event going on tonight too, right? There's a special cause that you and Ken Reedy are involved in.
Yes, we actually do. We do the Relay for Life, which is for the American Cancer Society. The one we're doing is in Rockland County, New York, where I live, and it's in June. We actually do a big fundraiser every year. One of our bands. So we have two bands.
Uh-oh.
This is probably more than you asked for, but we have two bands. We have a rock pop cover band called Standing Room Only, and we have a kind of Sinatra throwback band called Dirty Martini.
Ooh.
And once a year we do this big fundraiser for the American Cancer Society where our Dirty Martini band plays, and it's like a dinner dance type thing, and it's kind of like a little classy. Some people dress up, and we donate all the proceeds to the American Cancer Society. With the last few years, we've made at least $10,000 for the cause, and our team usually raises a little over $20,000 for the cause. Tonight's event, though, is not something I'm hosting. We're actually just going out to a dinner, and they donate like 20 or 30% of everything you spend at the restaurant, or the I believe it's Smashburger in Nanuet, New York. So we'll give them credit for opening up their doors. So anybody that goes there and has dinner tonight gets donated to the cause. So there'll be a lot of people from the American Cancer Society there, and we really believe in the cause because as you know, everybody knows, cancer affects all of us, whether we've been personally affected or know someone. And, they say cancer sucks. We would like to get rid of it, and hopefully, if there is a cure one day, we don't have to do these fundraisers, and we'll pick something else to raise funds for. But Ken Reedy and I are very into causes. We're always doing some sort of fundraiser or going to them, to help out people. And it is a way to give back. I know that kind of sounds cheesy, but we're happy in our life. I can't complain, and we have the luxury of, hey, we are wrestlers because we wanted to do that, and there's some people not as fortunate, and so we're very grateful for our life, and we just want to help other people.
Well, shout out to the American Cancer Society. I'll tell you that they really do a great job there, and I think that's noble of you and Ken to dedicate your time to helping them out and helping out the cause there. That's, like you said, everyone's been touched by cancer one way or another. That's certainly the truth. Can we get you back on the show, All-Star Michele Dee, with one L? You have to agree not to threaten me again, but we'd love to have you come back on the show and talk more wrestling with you.
Well, that's a hard bargain, but I think we can arrange for that.
And you tell that Ken Reedy.
Yes.
You tell him that the challenge is on the table. That's right.
I will. I will tell him that, and he's got a show too. Maybe he'll go both ways.
Listen.
Give him a call.
Listen. The Duke will show up on the Ken Reedy Show. Okay, you already know that. That's right. That's right. Listen, her name is All-Star Michele Dee. We really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
It's bad enough that nobody wants to help me bust up that no-good Roman Reigns. But now nobody wants to help me bust up that no-good Micah Madrid. I mean, what's wrong with everyone out there?
Did you see that special picture I took for you when I was on vacation?
Which
with
one?
Me and the action figure of Roman Reigns?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed.
I almost bought that for you.
Yeah. Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I would have thrown
because
it in
it was
trash.
a nice little keepsake.
You know
and
what
you
I
couldn't
would've done
throw
with
it
that?
away. If it was a keepsake, if it was a little memento that I bought for you as a gift, you can't throw that away.
No, you're right.
It's against the rules.
I wouldn't throw it away. I would just take that thing and beat the daylights out of it every day.
And then you'd be a crazy person for beating up an action figure.
Well, I've been called worse.
Duke, are you playing with your dolls again?
I've been called worse. Folks, up next, we have more of your listener-submitted questions, a.k.a. Ask Duke. But before we get to any of that, folks, I want you to head over to barnyardcheese.com. That's right, barnyardcheese.com. It's over in New York City. Listen, they have the greatest sandwich in the history of life. It is named after me.
Get out of here.
The Duke Sandwich, okay? Let me tell you about these great ingredients. Great
ingredients?
Yes.
The Duke Sandwich?
Absolutely.
First of all, the name itself is off-putting. I lose my appetite when I hear about the Duke Sandwich.
All right. Are you going to let me talk about this?
When I hear the Duke anything, it ruins my day.
It's the greatest sandwich of all time.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. The greatest sandwich of all time, let me tell you this, doesn't exist yet because I'm formulating it in my mind.
What are you talking about?
It is the Boston Bad Boy knuckle sandwich.
Oh, my God.
And I said this last week and the week before.
Oh, my God.
That the knuckle sandwich is going to become a thing. We talked to your buddy Dave, and I'm getting a petition together. It's on whitehouse.org, and we're getting a petition together to have Barnyard Cheese create the Boston Bad Boy knuckle sandwich for all you knuckleheads out there that have things to say to me and who back up you, Duke. So that's going to be for you. The sandwich is going to be so delicious. Here's the best part of the sandwich. It's going to be so delicious, it's only going to be for me.
Okay.
I'm not even going to have other people enjoy it. It's going to be so good that the people who I dislike are not even going to enjoy it.
This is what we have to deal with, folks, okay? This guy over here being
I've got sourdough
disrespectful.
bread. I've got maybe some buffalo mozzarella.
Oh, really?
A little oil and spices, maybe.
Oh.
A little bit of mustard to give it some zing.
Yeah.
And the pièce de résistance, pig knuckle. Pig knuckle, baby.
Well, that sandwich
What's better than pig?
That will
pig
not
is the
be on the
ultimate
menu.
animal.
That will not be on the menu, folks. Okay.
Listen, I got Double D's number here.
No.
And I'm gonna get on the phone with him. I'm
Don't
working on
listen
this.
to this guy.
My people are working on this, and it's gonna be on the secret menu.
Oh my God.
That only people in the know are gonna know how to access. Not people like Dingo He can't get a sandwich.
Jingo alone.
Not people like Duke. You can't get a sandwich
Leave me alone.
because you run your mouth.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, leave me
All
alone.
right, that's enough. Head over to barnyardcheese.com, folks, for more info. Enjoy.
Hey guys, this is Chelsea, the wrestling fan, and you're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
Folks, over the past week, one of the most celebrated and important events in pro wrestling took place in none other than Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, we're talking about the Cauliflower Alley Club. And I mean, look, we needed somebody who had the inside scoop, okay? What is the CAC and why should it matter not only to all the fans, but pro wrestlers as well, okay? So here to answer those questions for us is none other than my friend, the Superfan. We're talking about Mr. Brother Roy Lucier. How are you, Roy?
I'm doing great, Duke. How are you doing today?
Very well, very well. Listen, explain to everybody, what is the CAC?
Boy, before that, can you explain to everybody why you're friends with Duke? Because that's the most unbelievable part of this whole thing.
You know.
We had a little history there. I'm always fascinated when you have friends, quote unquote, on this show. I'm just curious how.
Yeah.
Don't embarrass me.
Yeah, especially, if Duke found out I was a Trump supporter.
Listen, I take all kinds, Roy. Don't worry, man. I take all kinds. That's right.
No, but the Cauliflower Alley Club basically is a brotherhood and a sisterhood of retired and current wrestlers, and over the past couple decades, fans as well. It used to be a little private event that happened in the Los Angeles area. Now it's open to the public. What the board of directors do for the Cauliflower Alley Club, and this board of directors includes, President B. Brian Blair, who we all know.
Of course.
One half of the Killer
Bees. One of Boston Bad Boys' favorite tag teams growing up.
Carl Lauer and Morgan Dollar. There's a couple other ones that are in charge of it. But what Cauliflower Alley does is it's a nonprofit organization. There is an annual fee of $25, or you can do a lifetime membership for $300. Any money that is earned through membership goes specifically to help wrestlers in need. Now, they take it case by case. If someone with bad intentions decides to say, hey, listen, I need money, to pay rent, they make sure the money goes toward rent or instead of someone's addictions. For example, they assisted Kamala to pay off his rent and own his property.
Wow.
They've assisted Paul Orndorff when he came down with cancer to take care of his medical expenses. There's several hundred other ones. They spent, I believe, $153,000 assisting wrestlers in need that had injuries, and obviously due to HIPAA laws, they don't reveal who they are. But being nonprofit, to the penny, they have to make sure that money goes to what they say it goes to, or they'll lose their nonprofit license. This is a organization that I fully endorse and support. The event itself once a year is just a little part of what the club is about. It's giving back to the wrestling community, and I believe that and the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Wichita Falls and maybe another couple of ones are the only places that are looking out for the brotherhood, for those that are in need.
And it's interesting because one of the things that they do in order to promote the Cauliflower Alley Club is this convention that you were just at for the past week. Who are some of the and I know that you can't mention everybody, but don't worry, folks, because Brother Roy has given me access to the photos, so I'm going to share them on the Duke Loves Rasslin page, which is directly from Brother Roy, so you can see all this stuff. But who are some of the stars that you've met over the past week?
Okay, and real quickly, as a quick correction, we look at it as a reunion and not a convention. Simply because it is a bunch of us old timers just getting together. For example, there is a free wrestling event that happens 2 days on Sunday and Monday that's run by NWA Vendetta. I'm sitting at my seat, and I look up at the door, and Cowboy Bob Orton is standing there.
Ace.
Now, immediately, I go up to him and let him know, my name and how much I appreciated him as a kid growing up and stuff like that. And my wife's favorite wrestler at one point was Randy Orton. So he graciously took photos with us. Everyone at the event is accessible. Now, there may be a couple exceptions as far as people to get photographs with, but 95% of the talent is accessible, gives out autographs for free. 100%. Every single wrestler that I came across at that reunion was beyond friendly. No one. The thing is, you can't go into the event expecting somebody to be there. For example, I saw a list of the people getting the awards, like Tully Blanchard, Dave Meltzer, Cuban Assassin, and I heard whistlers of here and there of people that might be there. But my first night there, I'm standing by the nostalgia room, and someone goes, "Hello, Mr. Wisniewski." And I turn around because I know Wisniewski is Ed Wisniewski, Colonel De Beers.
Oh, yes.
And I turn around, and there, lo and behold, is Colonel De Beers.
Wow.
And
Blast from the past.
Turn around, shake his hand, and I just immediately let him know that his gimmick was one of my favorite things in my childhood. I hated him with a passion, and they like hearing that. You tell them your childhood memories of them and stuff like that. And, someone like Colonel De Beers, he hasn't been heard of in the community in 20, 25 years.
Yep.
He's very gracious, shakes your hand, and says, "I really appreciate hearing that." And he told me to sit down next to him, and he told me about a half hour of, Portland stories with him and Buddy Rose and ribs that he pulled on Scott Hall and Jimmy Snuka. And how many people honestly believe that he was a racist South African and, in real life he's anything but. So little things like that. And there were so many stories that I realize we have 5-10, minutes here. But there are so many stories that I could just go on and on.
Oh, I know, and we don't want to make anybody feel left out there. So I'm gonna be careful there because I don't want any of these wrestlers. They could still handle themselves there. I don't want to get anybody upset. But I saw in the pictures, you had Mean Gene Okerlund, Jim Ross, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who was your childhood hero. Is that correct?
Yep. The Godfather was there. He lives in Vegas, so he's at every event nowadays.
Oh, yes.
I've seen his career since he was the Soul Taker in USWA in Japan. So I brought that up to him, and he's all, "My God, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time." Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe was there.
Wow.
Jumping Jim Brunzell was there. And, a lot of this reunion is centered around Dick Beyer, the Destroyer. And this year, his son is there. Bayer's been one of the longest members there, and they have cribbage tournaments and bowling tournaments. And, the average fan, you want to play cribbage, you want to get in on this, go ahead. I personally saw my friend Yves LaRue, who is a writer for Slam Magazine in Canada, sitting there playing cribbage with Cowboy Bob Orton.
Unbelievable.
And Bob Orton goes, "Hey, kid, you know how to play the game? You want to sit down and shoot one?" And this is Cowboy Bob Orton, who is just treating me like I'm part of the Brotherhood. I've never stepped in the ring. I'm just a super fan that, lucked out and lived in some cool places and done some cool things. And my first time, meeting Cowboy Bob Orton, here he is just treating me like one of the brothers.
Dude, I mean, that is just that's literally every fan's dream. To be in a room with so many of your heroes and be accepted and treated with respect because you have such admiration and respect for them. And what's interesting, in Boston Bad Boy, you'll get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
Roy brought his wife
Well, all right.
So they turned this into a family trip.
Yeah, why not?
You know what I mean? So
maybe
got
she might like cribbage too.
Well,
you know.
that's exactly it. You know what I mean? Now, Roy, don't you get a little worried? You're bringing your wife around some of these because I mean, look, some of these guys still got it. You got to watch yourself.
Hey, Ric Flair wasn't there.
Well, Ric Flair wasn't there, so you were safe. That's right. Now, look, you told me a story one time, Roy, and I would be remiss if I didn't have you relay it while we have a little extra time here. You told me a story about meeting a wrestler, and I guess this happened to you more than once, and they've actually let you know that they actually know who you are. So,
Gene Okerlund, for example, because Gene Okerlund is a member of the International Wrestling Fan Base group on Facebook, the one that I co-admin. And when I brought my name up and said Roy Lucier, he immediately said, "Don't you run that Facebook group on Facebook? I know your name from somewhere." Same thing with Gerald Briscoe. He remembered my name as well.
Wow.
And so this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Now the next one will obviously be 364 days or 2 days from now. So, I mean, we're looking at a whole year away. But, you know, one thing about the Gold Coast Casino where the event happens, if you're a member of the Cauliflower Alley, your room is something like 70% off.
Wow.
So a room that's like normally $180 a night, 4 nights, including resort fees, I think it was like $208.
What a
and this
deal.
was like a king-size room.
What a deal. And that was you and your wife. So, I mean, that's...
That was me and my wife, yeah.
You didn't tell her how cheap it was, right? I mean, you played it up that it was a real big expensive weekend away, something really nice. You don't tell her about the discount.
That's right. That's right. See, now before we let you go, Roy, you got a chance to run into one of our good friends of the show there, Mr. James Beard of the NWA.
Oh yes.
What was that like running into James? Because you talk about a class act this guy is.
Absolutely. And every time I saw James Beard after that, I saw him at the convention last night. He was sitting with Tokyo Monster Kahagas, Malia Hosaka. There was like an NWA table that he was like sitting at, and every time he walks by me, hand on my shoulder, shaking the hand, ask how I'm doing and stuff like that. You know what? James Beard literally does not get the credit that he deserves for everything that he has done for the business and that he continues to do for the business. When I saw James Beard, I brought up to him because, you know, as everyone knows, I'm a huge fan of the overseas wrestling in Japan. And I know James Beard worked for SWS, later known as WAR, under Tenryu for a couple years. And I brought up, like, this really obscure wrestler named Masao Orihara that had this, like, moonsault from the top rope out of the ring that no one else was doing at the time. And he told me, I trained Orihara, and was telling me details about the trainings and stuff like that. And definitely, James Beard is an amazing person.
He is.
And, you know, the people at my other job are clowning me about this, but I got there Sunday at 2 o'clock. I didn't leave the hotel once until I caught my taxi this morning.
Why would you?
And my flight.
Why would you?
Yeah, it's like, why would you? You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't want to miss anybody. And, you know, as long as you're not some rabid eBay seller that's throwing 20 autographed photos in their face. You know, I'm not an autograph collector per se. You know, I got one of, you know, Jeannie Clark and Marshall Von Erich and I think Tully and J.J. Dillon as well. That they were there as well. But, you know, don't be. You go to this event, don't be a dick. Don't be throwing so much stuff that you come across as like a reseller for eBay or something like that. Be respectful and let them know your name. Let them know, you know, your memories, your fondest memories of them. Let them know a connection that you two may have. But above all, you know, we're all marks for the business. I mean, if we weren't marks for the business, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing.
That's right.
But don't come across as someone that just disrespectful, you know, punk. I mean, respect them. Respect that they're there for you, you know, and everybody in that room was respectful, and I didn't see no egos whatsoever as long as you didn't have an ego with the boys.
No, I mean, you bring up some solid points, and shout out to Jeannie Clark. I know she's a fantastic person who's always coming out to the events and what have you. And the young Von Erich guy, we got our eye on you there, pal. You got a lot of family legacy there, and we hear some good things about you. You know, you're wrestling in Japan. Duke Loves Rasslin has his eye on you. So
let me say this about Marshall Von Erich. The family raised that boy right and correct. I walked up to him. I recognized him from the shirt, and I introduced myself. He knew me from my Facebook group and the uploads of his father and stuff like that. And he came across not as one of the boys, but as one of the fans. And, you know, like Jeannie Clark walks up to him, and his face just lit up. Wow. You know, he was like a kid in a candy store. Kevin Von Erich was supposed to be there, and due to a unfortunate double booking, he had to cancel, but he sent Marshall, and he couldn't have sent a better representative for the family than Marshall, because that boy literally, there's nothing in any way, shape, or form that's negative about that boy.
I hear that. He's a good one. He's a good one. Listen, Roy, if anyone wants to get in touch with you and just talk wrestling, or even, you know, you are involved in so many different wrestling groups, including the international group there, how can folks get in touch with you?
The best way is probably Facebook. I think I'm probably on Facebook more than anything. I'm under my name on there, Roy Lucier. Last name is spelled Lucier. Send me an inbox, introduce yourself. Other than that, you know, I do have a Twitter account. I rarely...
Nah, you don't use Twitter. You're all Facebook, brother. I know that. I know you're all Facebook there.
I don't get the whole hashtag. I don't get the whole putting squiggly marks on stuff and all that. That's not really...
That's right. That's right. Folks, his name is Roy Lucier. I'm telling you, I call him Brother Roy because I have a lot of respect for him. Listen, Roy, can we have you come back at some point in the not-too-distant future to talk more about being a wrestling fan and the best way to approach wrestlers so you don't come off like some kind of creep?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm just sorry it took this long to finally get on your show. I know you've been trying to have me on for a long time, and I hope this isn't the last time.
Oh, man, not at all. Not at all. His name is Roy Lucier. Thank you again, Roy.
All right, have a good one.
Wow.
Boy.
How was that?
That was good. I wish I had that kind of energy,
dude,
in my life.
Well,
I don't have it. I'm never going to have it. That's just the way it is.
Well, when you're a fan of something,
yeah,
and this is something that you've had since your childhood, and it's a constant. It's something that you know you can always go back to, and it's there for you. And you literally get to see, you know, with the wrestlers, you get to see them from their very first match to their very last match, and whatever comes afterwards. That's a lot of emotional investment.
Yeah. Well, I'm dead on the inside, so I don't have anything to emote. I don't have anything to latch on to.
I'm glad you admitted that before I had to point it out for you.
You're too nice to have pointed that out.
Yeah, okay. Boston Bad Boy, what do you have for Ask Duke?
Well, we got some Ask Duke coming up, and it's been a while. I was on hiatus last week. It was beautiful.
Oh, listen, the show was fine without you until you decided to pop back in, which I don't know how that worked out there.
I think it worked out great. And I think the fans loved that I was there to keep things online, you know, and going straight, not just you to your own devices, because we've seen how that goes.
Well, shout out to Analytical Kate. She did a great job on the interview last week, and her analytics I reposted. And I'm going to keep doing it every week.
Lot here
I'll tell you, she's gotten a lot of traffic on her site.
Yeah.
After coming on the show.
Well, it's an interesting point of view, and I think that people need to look at that. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Well, they increased, you know,
by
about 1-2%.
Are you going to take credit for that?
I'm taking full credit.
Of course you are.
You know,
why wouldn't
Analytical Kate came on Duke Loves Rasslin.
Analytical Kate went and put together a chart with picture and everything, and you're taking credit.
Taking full credit.
Wow.
That's absolutely I am. Shout out, Kate. Please don't beat me up.
You got to take what you can get in your situation.
Oh, please.
In your life.
What do you got for Ask Duke?
Oh, well, I've got all kinds of crazy stuff here. But again, I'm easing myself back in, so I'm going to let you know that I have a very low tolerance for idiocy today. So we're going to just ease into this like a warm bath.
Here we go.
All right, so the first question comes from Braxton Wolf.
How about that name, huh?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And is that a male or female?
Braxton is a male.
Braxton, okay.
That's
I mean, I guess it could go either way.
Hey,
listen,
there is a wrestler name.
It could be
Braxton Wolf.
Says, I want to know why there's so much hate on Roman Reigns. Sure, Roman has a limited moveset, but so did Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan. I know this is going to go well when they put Roman Reigns in the same echelon as Austin and Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Braxton, I like your name, But I got to tell you, bro, you start asking these ridiculous questions, then you're going to get an answer.
I'd love for you to be able to step away from your insane, wholly imagined feud with Roman Reigns and talk about this from an analytical point of view.
Well, look, seriously. You have a guy that's being pushed down the fans' throats, and there's a rebellion because, and I think in a lot of ways, Roman came around at just the wrong time because he was viewed as getting in the way of Daniel Bryan's push, who Daniel Bryan is beloved. Everyone
and
loved
broken,
him.
though.
Well, beloved. Stop it. So he got in the way of that, and then after that, he just never was able to recover as far as being a fan favorite, despite the fact the company is trying to present him.
Well, I'll tell you, they're pushing a lot of merchandise with him. I saw it when I was at the toy store. As I sent you those pictures, there were quite a few Roman Reigns action figures.
I will say this: of the active roster that's full time, Roman Reigns is number one right now as far as merchandise sales.
Right.
But that's only because Finn Balor was injured.
Right.
I think he is going to cream Roman Reigns.
You really think there's like a lever at the toy company where they're pushing out certain product depending on who's on top?
Fact. Because why would you put somebody, you're going to invest all that TV time and what have you into somebody and not push the merchandise?
I guess so.
It's a business, right?
No, I guess so. It just seems like quite an operation to have to do that. But again, if they built all these Roman Reigns dolls, I'll call them dolls because in the end that's what
they're
they
action
are.
figures.
they're dolls, and if you get all this merchandise on your hand, you get we get 600,000 Roman Reigns dolls. We got to push them on TV. We got to move them out of here.
Yeah,
they've made the investment.
They made the investments. They got to see it through.
There's some of that which goes to your push, which doesn't make any sense. Which we saw at the WrestleMania thing and the aftermath after that. The fans they're not buying it. Whatever he's selling, whatever his angle is,
they're not buying.
They're not buying it long term.
I'm gonna say two quick things before we wrap this up. Number one, Triple H has the audacity to try to play games now because his thing is, well, Roman Reigns is the biggest heel in the company. So why would we push him any differently? We're going to keep him the way that it is because everyone
But no
is
one likes
responding.
him as a heel.
But that's what he's... So
right. They're genuinely mad at him.
They're trying to push him as a babyface.
Right.
And the fans are making him a heel. So now Triple H's thing is, well, we're just presenting heels in a new way. No.
Oh, yeah.
No. Don't play that
It's alternative
game.
facts.
Yeah, alternative facts. Don't play that game, pal.
He's an alternative face.
Exactly.
That's what it is. He's really a heel. He's an alternative
because
face.
You know what? You want to sell merchandise, and the fans are getting upset about the Roman Reigns project. So please.
The problem is they probably need to pull the plug on him.
Yeah.
Let him go dark for a little bit and reemerge. They could come up with something.
Of course.
Maybe they can't, though, because as we all know, they're creatively bankrupt.
Well, please. But let me just say this. I got no problem with Joe Noye, okay? I respect the family. And, rest in peace to his brother, who played Rosie. He passed away recently, and that was a terrible situation. I got no problem with the guy, the person, personally. But Roman Reigns, the pro wrestler, let me tell you something. He's my arch nemesis, okay? Okay? He's nothing but a pumped up, overstuffed,
Can you stop?
punk from the gym.
Can you stop?
Who needs to, A, get out of this business,
Yeah.
B, get rid of the contract, and most C, get out of my life.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
You
we've heard
hear
it
me,
before.
Roman? You know I'm talking to you right now. I'm talking to you right now, Roman.
If Ric Flair had ever done that promo to Roman Reigns, I
Yes.
could see this. Right now, you're delving into the madness that is starting to tip over into the madness of someone like Dingo, for instance.
Listen.
It's turning into a mindset of dementia almost.
I've been getting
strange
complimented on my Ric Flair, just so you know.
from who?
Fans.
From your mother. It
They
doesn't
hit
count.
me up on the street and
She's
tell
a
me.
sweet woman, but moms always are nice to you.
She's going to hurt you, just so you know. She's not happy with the way you
Wait
talk
till
to
she
me.
has one of my sandwiches. She's going to love it.
You're right.
But we need to answer the second part of this question about the limited move set and bringing in Steve Austin Hulk. I think the WWE, banked on Roman Reigns' gimmick being as good as those guys.
Sure.
It's almost like trying to make a video go viral. It doesn't happen that way.
No, not by itself. It happens by
Hogan
itself.
and Austin
Yep.
had personalities that happened to intersect the gimmick and bring it to something that became sort of legendary. It's not, you can't force it, and they're trying to force it with Roman Reigns.
And they're not buying.
So
Fans
he
aren't
doesn't
buying.
have the moves, nor does he have the personality. They give him more moves so he becomes a wrestler that people like to watch, or rework this gimmick.
Well, you know what?
Or also just get rid of the name entirely so I don't have to listen to you talk about him being your nemesis, which is wholly imagined.
Well, until they start pushing him the way that I want him to be pushed, he will be my arch nemesis. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next question because you pontificating about Roman Reigns is about 90% of the show at this point. The next question comes from R.J. Krasinski.
Oh, what a name.
Yeah.
Nice. You got some real names.
Is that the guy from The Office?
See that?
John Krasinski?
That could be him. No, he's from around here, you know. He's from
his brother.
He's a masshole. Look at that. That's right.
All right, so this question is, why has WWE become so PG? It clearly doesn't work, unlike the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era. I have the answer for that.
Go ahead. What's your answer?
Money.
Well, that is the answer.
You can't. You need you need to have the kids to be able to watch it. That their parents allow the kids to watch it, so that the parents then allow the kids to go buy the wrestling ring and all the Roman Reigns action figures and blah 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 move and on and on and on. Counts less to have people. It's actually less important for people to watch it on television and go to the events than it is for the afterwards, which is the buying of the crap that they're pushing.
True.
So that's my opinion.
But and you know what? You are moving in the right direction. And I'll tell
look
you.
At that.
I got to tell you, the proof's in the pudding, folks. We can't deny the fact that the WWE is doing something right. They came out with their financials. I think it was about a week or two ago. Came out with their financials. They have made the most money in the history of the company 2016. Their fiscal year.
Right.
They made the most money.
Well, I also think it seems as though the whole thing is becoming streamlined, right?
Yes.
I mean, their costs are going down if they're owning the net. If they're owning a network,
and that's what it is.
If they own the web, or the website, that costs that's like thousands of dollars a year. That's 4 figures to run a website. The infrastructure. And
they're
all that.
advertising their own stuff.
Advertising
constantly.
their own stuff, and they're paying for people to have access to it. So there's no overhead for that. They have a staff and that does whatever. So they've suddenly shifted the financial burden to something with very low overhead. That's all cash. That's all profit. Like I said, secondary. It's turning to where the wrestling is becoming secondary, and I think that's a good thing for business, but probably a bad thing for the business. And that's indicated in all these crappy gimmicks that come out.
All right.
This is Vince's total lack of creative direction,
All right.
and them starting to sputter a little bit because they've realized they can making their money over here, and they're doing it, which who would blame them? But it's for the neglect of, again, they have their top guy they don't know what to do with. They got this guy, Roman, he took out The Undertaker, but they can't do anything with him. They've got these,
it's not working
to quote
for
swingers, they get these big effing claws, and they can't kill the bunny. They don't know how to, where do they go from here? What's the backup plan? They're bringing women in, but as we found out last week, it's not enough. It's not a big percentage.
Well, they're not investing enough.
They're not investing enough. I mean, obviously they're making money, but to the detriment of what? I mean, obviously they're not paying people right. Obviously they're not taking care of people after they leave. Obviously, they're not.
We're not going to be bashing the company.
No,
all day
well,
here,
listen. This is you just talking about their financials, and I'm explaining to you why they're doing so well.
They're making money.
Yeah, they're because
did you miss that part?
Because they're cutting their redundancies. They're making it more efficient, which for business is good. But from an artistic sense, and this is an artistic endeavor to some extent, it's an athletic and artistic endeavor. Not good.
Stop it right now.
Not good overall.
Stop it right now.
They can make all the money in the world if they don't reinvest it in the people. The wheel is going to stop spinning eventually.
They have the biggest roster that they've ever had.
And who do they push? Crap.
Well,
they push crap.
Go to the
and
next
they have women on here that they're not pushing.
All right.
So they're wasting their time.
Well,
they're wasting their time. And I'm done with questions. How about that?
No. We got more questions. What do you mean?
No, that's it. I'm stopping it right here because I was on the phone last week and I had remote control of the situation, but now that I am in full control once again, as God intended. We're going to move right on to more important issues. And this is going to continue to me to crap on the company because they have it coming.
No, they don't.
And from their financials, I'm curious how much a check they had to write in some recent issues that are going on, mainly with your buddy Morrow.
Okay, that's enough. We're not
and JBL.
We're not going to. Come on.
Now, remember, we had a conversation with Rudy Gonzalez, which was very, very informative, and it was very interesting.
It was honest
because it was honest. It was from somebody who was a real worker in the industry, both behind the scenes, on stage, in the ring, in front of the cameras, and also training, and someone
practice.
And somebody, he's going to call in again. If that light starts flashing, he's going to show up in person here.
I don't
want practice one more time.
Problem.
But his view, Rudy's view, was very different from, someone on the outside, maybe you and me or different people. And he also acknowledged that maybe his view wasn't the best view. It's just he calls it as he saw it. That doesn't change the fact that something was going on in the WWE right now. That between Morrow and JBL, there was a problem. Or
Allegedly.
And now Morrow is stepping away and comes up with this quote. Okay, so to bring people up to speed, obviously most people have been following it. There's this whole back and forth. He leaves because Morrow has issues with mental health, and known and well reported bully JBL allegedly had words, and it got to the point where Morrow had to leave. And a big kerfuffle. And the WWE went dark. They didn't want to talk about it. Meanwhile, they're running a big campaign about how you need to not bully people and blah, blah, blah. So there's all kinds of BS floating around here. Okay? So here's the quote. So we don't know what's going on. Time is passing. And all of a sudden, the guy, the victim of what's been happening, the person who has to leave their job because their work environment is unsustainable, comes out with this quote. And I have it right here. And I'm going to read it to you, quote, from Mauro Ranallo. As part of our commitment to creating an inclusive environment...
That's a WWE.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I've got the wrong one here.
So you don't even know what you're over here trying to trash the company.
Here we go. No, wait. I had the wrong piece of... I'm trying to... all right, here we go. The WWE and I have mutually agreed to part ways. It has nothing to do with JBL.
See that? Done. End of story. That's coming directly from Morrow saying that it had nothing to do with JBL. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I wasn't trying to accuse JBL of anything. These are all allegations. It's been cleared up. Thank you very much, Morrow, JBL, WWE. Wait, no harm, no foul.
Get out of here.
Nothing wrong.
Let me go back then to the WWE quote because I want to read
this.
I want to read this out because we want to hear both sides.
It's a great quote.
As part of our, and this is WWE, quote, as part of our commitment to creating an inclusive environment, in April 2011, WWE launched our anti-bullying campaign, Be a Star, which encourages young people to treat each other with tolerance and respect. As a publicly traded company, and remember that part, that mantra carries forward in our corporate culture. As such, we fully investigate any allegations of inappropriate behavior, including the recent alleged situation with John Layfield, a.k.a. JBL, despite no formal complaint having been submitted.
There it is. Look at that. There wasn't even a complaint, okay?
Have you been on social media in the past 3 weeks?
Well, no. Submitted to the company.
Really? There's been no complaint submitted?
That's what they say.
Okay. Now we're getting to the... Now we're peeling back the onion. We're peeling back the onion.
Who knows?
Oh, someone knows.
Yeah, and they just told you.
Someone knows.
Morrow told you.
Here's what I know.
All right.
Here's what I know. The WWE goes dark after this guy has to be pushed out of his job and goes to social media to sort of complain about it. Blows up. WWE says nothing. Puts out that ridiculous boilerplate statement.
Oh, my God.
Okay? And then what happens? What magically happens a couple of days later? Days. It wasn't even weeks. Days later. WWE and I have mutually agreed to part ways. It had nothing to do with JBL.
That's it.
That sounds like something someone's lawyer told them to say after they signed a contract of a large settlement, and so that they can put it to bed. Because the WWE, as much as they have a lot of money, can't afford the kind of pain that would come from them condoning a bullying, promoting atmosphere within the business.
Don't you think at this point you're kind of making stuff up and you're adding in what you want it to be?
Let's talk about business. We know how Vince does business. In the past. Vince uses the dollar as a bludgeon and always has. And to success. Listen, the company's huge. They're successful. They are the name in this industry. That doesn't mean it's right. And it doesn't mean it applies as times are changing. As we spoke to Rudy about, and Rudy himself said, hey, maybe, that was my view. That was when I was in it. Things may be changing. That might not be the right way to go going forward. Vince has to get it through his mind that these payoffs to hide the fact that there's a culture of bullying within the WWE, which is a publicly traded company, cannot sustain itself. It's dangerous, it's bad for business, and it's bad for the business because you're going to start losing talent just to satisfy keeping bullies in their place.
Well, listen, they investigated. Something that wasn't even reported, they investigated.
Shit,
and
they
guess
investigated.
what?
I'm going to say
guess what?
They did not investigate.
Found no problem.
Oh, get
so
out of
for
here.
you to sit here, okay, and talk about all this nonsense, the bullying and all this other stuff, I think at this point you're being disrespectful.
They investigated the same way Geraldo went and investigated Al Capone's vault.
That's enough.
It's all for show.
That's enough.
It's all for show.
That's enough.
There's no reason why they would investigate, and because guess what's the outcome of an investigation there? Two things are going to happen, right? Either they're going to be found that there's no bullying, or two, they're going to be found. They're going to be found at fault for fostering an atmosphere like that. And guess what? We already know the bullying happened. Maybe it wasn't JBL. Maybe it wasn't JBL, but maybe that everyone just jumped to that conclusion because he's a known bully. It's been written about in books. Maybe it was someone else, and maybe it was someone Vince needs to protect with a sign of the check.
Okay.
Maybe it was Vince.
That's enough.
Maybe the bullying culture comes right from the top, and I wouldn't put it past because it's an old. It's the boys' club.
No,
it's old school.
No, I'm not going to let you sit here and disrespect Vince McMahon and the WWE because they did their due diligence, and Morrow put out a statement.
How do you know they did their due diligence?
Because Morrow put out a statement. What did you read? You just read a statement.
How much would it cost for you to put out a statement that you love Roman Reigns? Wouldn't take that much money, to be honest with you. And you know what? We all have a price. And you just told me what their financials were. Do you have the number in front of you?
I'm not going to go there.
They have the money to make this go away, and that's what they're used to doing, and that's what they've always done. The problem is they're spending so much time dealing with this crap of making problems go away, and they're not investing for the future of the business. They're not investing back into what they need to be, the creative, the stuff that's happening for the fans. They're wasting this. They're trying to play. They're playing games here. Admit that they were wrong. Wipe the slate clean. Get rid of JBL. Clean house.
That's it.
Hose it all out. Hose it all out.
I'm cutting
it's time
this guy
to go,
off, folks. I'm done with this.
I'm telling you.
Don't
cut me off. I'm on a roll here. You know I'm
Michele
right.
Dee, and also thank you to Roy Lucier for joining us today. I got to tell you, folks, you tune in next week, and hopefully the Boston Bad Boy gets his act together.
No, maybe I'll come up with some stats
I just
and facts
don't understand
and figures.
Why would you
you're
talk about Vince McMahon like that?
And you know what?
And
maybe
then you
you're a bully
disrespect
too.